this is Filter Strain. I'm back in the studio working on another image in my Boots series of photographs. I've got my Johnston and Murphys and a couple of pieces of slate tile that I'm hoping to put together in a fairly simple but dramatic image that will, if done right, will match up with the rest of the image in this Boots series that I've been working on so far. I'm going to rough out the lighting and then I'll talk about it and a little bit about the composition ideas with this image. Stick with me. So this is a really rough layout of the lighting that I'm going to use. I know that I'm going to use this beauty dish with a grid as my key light and to light the shoe mainly overall. I've also got a strip box in the back to act as a rim light, and if I'm lucky it'll act a little bit as a fill light for the scene as it gradiates forward. When I'm lighting an object that's as shiny as these shoes are, I don't really like the cutout look of lighting modifiers in the reflection of the shoe, so I use diffusion panels to kind of gradiate and soften the edges of the lights. For this rim light, I've got my homemade lighting modifier right here, and for this top light, I've got a 5-in-1 pop-up. I may end up switching to one of my homemade modifiers just because it's more rigid and might more easily be able to be put into the scene, but I might want more of a gradation and a slower gradation that the 5-in-1 will allow me to get. That's really basically it. I'm just going to do 2 lights, which has been the theme of this whole project. Usually my second light just acts as a general fill. This time it'll act as a rim light for the shoes. Most of my time will be spent just composing the image and getting it to where I want it to be, and then I'll dial in the lights the rest of the way that I like it. So I've got the shoes composed roughly the way that I like them. Originally I was going to shoot the shoes on top of pieces of broken slate, but I didn't like it for two reasons. First off, by the time I created enough room at the bottom of the shoe, it was a little bit overwhelming. And secondly, it looked like gravel, and I didn't really feel like gravel fit the style of the shoes that I'm shooting right now. So I simplified it even more than I was, and I've just got it on top of two pieces of tile. I've also got two more pieces of tile behind the shoes, and it creates sort of a simple, similar to what you would see in high-end portraits, like a gravity backdrop. I like the overall color and texture of the tile, and I'm hoping it comes through well in the lights. I haven't worked on the lights at all, and right now I'm going to go through and I'm going to try to set up the rim light and set up the beauty dish in a place that I like them, and then install everything else as I go.
Perfect.
I just wrapped up with the photograph, and I wanted to walk you through all the changes I've made to the set since the last time I showed you anything. First off, I backed the camera up and I changed lenses to compress the overall scene. It looked a lot better that way. I also lowered the camera just a little bit so that it also compressed everything just a little bit better, and also didn't show as much of the brown inside of the shoe as much as it was showing. I switched a lot of things around. I changed out the 5-in-1 reflector that I had and put one of my homemade diffusion panels. That way I could move the light a little bit closer and it would still diffuse quite a bit. And also there was a lot of light bouncing around the scene, adding a lot of extra light and fill in the area. And I wanted to cut down on that quite a bit, and that helped out a lot. Another thing I did is I put a grid on the strip box around the corner, and that cut off the light and let it gradiate a little bit quicker than it was gradiating, and it also cut down on some of the excess fill light that was bouncing around in the scene. I got some masking tape and I marked up my lens and focus stacked the image. I think I focus stacked 6 individual images. I do like to shoot one image that's slightly before my focus stack starts and one image that's slightly after my focus stack starts. That way, just in case, I've got a little wiggle room in case I miss something and something's not quite in focus. With this particular scene, since it's so compressed and the background is so close to the shoes themselves, there's some focus of the background itself, and I may want to cut that out or make it a little bit more unfocused in Photoshop, or use one of the images that's focused more towards the toe for the background plate. There's a few things that I did to the shoes themselves or in the set. I propped the back shoe on the edge just a little bit. I used some blue goo to kind of turn it and rotate it again so that it would show a little bit less of the brown inside of the shoe, and also show a little bit of detail from the bottom of the shoe. It doesn't look too unnatural, and I think I like that. Another thing I did is I put a little black card in the scene to cut off a reflection that was just in between the back heel of the front shoe and the back heel of the right shoe. It was kind of creating a very semicircular glow right behind the front shoe. I didn't really like it, so I put it in a black card to cut that out. Third thing I did is I took some armature wire, some really thin wire, and I wired the flaps at the front of the shoe a little bit more closed, so that way it wouldn't show too much of the brown, or at least show the same amount of the inside of the shoe as it does on the back shoe as well. So I think the image came out really quite nice. Here's what it looks like as a final image after retouching. Like I said, I think this image came out pretty simple, but I like the gray on black look of the overall image. I think it fits in with the sort of darkness and low-key lighting that I've used with the previous images, and yeah, I think it came out pretty nicely. Thanks so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. Have a great day.